Today is July 15, 2024, and I think the last 2 weeks, the last week especially, has been so hot. I think this has been so far the hottest summer anybody has experienced here in Romania. So I've heard even my mother, for the first time in her life, complaining about the heat. And my mother never complains about heat. She has been working even in environments with 50 degrees Celsius 8 hours per day, and she hasn't complained about the heat. But now my mother has said something about being too hot outside. So even she started to feel there's something going on with the climate. And I'm far from sustaining all this climate change propaganda, but there is definitely a change in the entire climate on Earth, and this has been going on observable in the last 10 to 15 years. The seasons have been changing here in Romania. We barely have spring and autumn. It's just like it used to be 4 seasons. Now it's mostly 2. It's just winter, and then there are probably 2-3 weeks of spring, what in the past would have lasted 3 months probably. So then there's winter, then there's 2-3 weeks of what could be called like spring, and then there's summer, and there's almost no spring and no autumn anymore. It has been extremely hot, and it is extremely hot right now. I'm high in the mountains right now, and it's 39 degrees high in the mountains. High in the mountains. It's unheard of. It's like, this is extremely hot. If at this altitude we have these temperatures, like in the south, in the capital city where my parents are living, it's almost like an inferno right now. So for the ones that are saying that now just nothing happens with the climate, there is just the propaganda, I'm here to tell you this is completely false. It might be for sure propaganda around the climate, because there's usually, when something true happens, that true thing, it's usually taken and covered in all sorts of propaganda and lies. But there is a definite experiential change in the temperature of the seasons for sure. In Romania, this is definitely felt. So that's one thing that I felt to shortly describe and record about. The other thing that I feel to record about, and I'm in the car, and I'm gonna start the car, and I'm gonna record while I'm driving. So 34 degrees it says here on the car, but it was 39 a bit earlier, probably because the car was in the sun. So 35, let's just say 35 degrees, which is a lot anyway. So the other thing that I feel to record about is this sensation that I had that, 1 second, I have to stop and I'll continue the recording. The other thing that I felt to record about was to briefly mention this sensation, this striking sensation that I'm having right now. This is 2024, and I have this intense sensation that things can barely continue like this anymore. Like even here high in the mountains, I've seen an undescribable like cutting off the forests. It's undescribable. It goes on day and night. The forests, these magnificent forests. Even in 10 years from now, they are gonna be missing more and more from the environment. And the forests are being cut down at a rate higher than nature can ever regenerate. So the cutting down of the forests leads, of course, to an increase of temperature and the drying up of the rivers. No more forests means no more rivers, and the drought is the drought from this year and the last 5 years, I would say, here in Romania has been undescribable. Like here in the mountains, it used to rain at least once per week, at least. But now it hasn't been raining for 3 weeks, I think. It's like everything is dried up. I've seen spruce trees which have been drying up in the forest. You see the pine tree forest, the spruce tree forest in the mountains, and then you see a patch with completely dried up trees, brown trees in the middle of the green ones. It's undescribable. It's unheard of. So the sensation that I have is like things can barely continue like this anymore. It's like it's impossible for things to continue like this. So this is why I'm feeling that something is gonna happen. Like something is about to happen. The destruction of life on Earth is unbelievable right now. It's unbelievable what happens right now on Earth. And the destruction of the forest and of nature is just one of the factors in this equation. But the destruction of the animals and the destruction of the human species as well. The low quality of food, the insane conditions one is subjected to while made to live in a city. Those cities are concentration camps. Everybody gets ill in the city from the conditions they are living in. There is so much pollution and so much chemicals everywhere. From the substances people use to clean their house, their bathrooms and so on, they are extremely chemical substances which you breathe them in each time you clean. And then from the extremely low quality food which is being served in the supermarkets to the population, which makes humanity ill. Like that food is ill. And then the crowd and the noises from the cars and the pollution, and then the pollution of people themselves, which pollute energetically all day long. Look at the beauty. It's like God, how I feel in nature. Like look at nature. Look at the magnificent trees. This is balm for the soul. Look at this. Where do you find such wildness, such purity of nature? Just walking in this environment restores our health. Look at it. It's just taken out from a painting. It's idyllic. Why destroy such a thing? Imagine that maybe in 10 or 20 years, this might not be here anymore. There's just a plain field, because the trees might not be here anymore. This is breathtaking. The magnificent beauty of this is, and not only visual beauty, it's energetic health. It's something which cells in our body remember. It's natural for us to live like this, surrounded by nature and by trees. This is why the human being, the true human being, it's natural for the true human being to live in communion with nature. It's just natural. Look at this. It's just idyllic. And people have been secluding themselves in fences, building their houses and then protecting one another from each other with fences. They have been imprisoning themselves in their own cells. They don't even need a prison anymore. Look at this. Instead of being free to roam and to walk and to be in nature, we have been secluding ourselves in apartments, in houses surrounded by fences. We have been imprisoning ourselves. We don't even need guards and guardians. We are so paranoid that, that thing is gonna harm us, or that neighbor is gonna kill us, or that other thing is gonna, make us ill. We have been secluding ourselves from everything, and especially from nature. And now, while the human beings are being held captive in their own apartments and houses, inside their nice houses and inside their prison fences, what happens in nature is that the freaking parasitical abusers are coming here where there is nobody anymore. There are no true human beings walking free in nature anymore. And the abusers are coming and they are destroying nature when nobody is looking. Because everybody now is busy looking at Netflix on their large screen in their apartments, and looking paradoxically, having those large screensavers with mountain, images and environments. Oh, it's relaxing to have a screensaver on my laptop with a mountain scene. Well, soon enough, that mountain scene will only remain a picture on a laptop, because the true mountains are being destroyed. And the true trees and the true beauty is being destroyed while we are looking at images on a phone. So, where is this going to lead us? It's just obvious. Nature and the earth is being destroyed savagely, while most of humanity has been mesmerized and hypnotized and kept prisoner in their own houses by the phones and the screens and the laptops that they think are there for their own pleasure and entertainment. Look at this. This is healing balm for the mind, for the body, and for the soul. We heal when we are here, with nature, in nature. We start to hear once again the voice, the true voice of life, which speaks from everything if we learn to quiet down, to detach ourselves from the prison cells called apartments, from the guardians called cell phones and laptops, and we come back here. Look at this. This is an open book telling us and giving us everything we need to remember who we are, to restore ourselves fully, body, mind, and soul, to our true capacities. We just need time to be here with this, with nature. People have been made to fear bears. No, I'm not going in nature. They are dangerous. They are bears. They're gonna harm you. They're gonna kill you, you know. The bear, wolves or whatever, whatnot, you know. It was almost stupidly easy in a way, to make us afraid and then to make us abandon nature through our own fear. We've allowed ourselves to be played by our own fear, through our own fear. Nobody comes in nature anymore, not even tourists. There used to be mountain hikers. I've met a guy last year, which was one of the old mountain hikers, and he told me, like, there are no more mountain hikers. Like, in the past, I would have went into the mountains and I would have met so many other hikers along the way, and there were so many people coming in the mountains in the summers, you know, but not anymore. So the guy told me, like, there are so few people right now. When I go into the mountains right now, I barely meet people. People are not even coming as tourists in the mountains anymore, because now they are in the TV and news. They are bombarded with, you know, bears attacking people or who knows what. Well, people have been made afraid to not go in the mountains anymore. Now the abusers have more room to come and freaking cut down the forest because nobody's here anyway now. So, where is this going to lead us? So the last question here would be, are we ready to make the uttermost sacrifice, in a way, that anybody would be able to do in its entire existence, in its entire life? To sacrifice everything. Now, let me show you something, and then I'll continue. Here it is. I've been cleaning up that area, but here it is. And when you think this is all, you have this thing. And when you think this is all, you have this thing. But paradoxically, man, nothing is impossible. This is easy. This can be cleaned, and it is going to be cleaned. Because nothing is impossible when there is true will. And when there is the force of true love, which is, true love is nothing that has to do with our human understanding of love. True love has nothing to do with male to female, hormonal love, let's say. True love is love for truth. True love is love which beats in our blood, in our cells, and in our heart, in our bones, penetrating our bones like thunders, with the memory of what true life really is. This is what true love is remembrance of life. And when this type of love flows in your veins, then nothing is impossible. And everything can be done. So the last question that remains is, are we ready to make the ultimate form of sacrifice? Sacrificing everything that is false, our entire false existence, all our false expectations, all our false desires and fears, and allow the truth which exists and flows within our veins already to wake us up, to restore us to the truth of what we are and what life is. Because it is only through this type of restoration that we would ever be able to do something for this world, truly. But we have to die first. There has to be a death, a true death. Everything that is false in us, all the story that we've believed about ourselves, that we are this human being here on earth, existing for, who knows, gazillions or philosophical and religious and spiritual reasons. All these false reasons, all these false explanations for why do we exist in the first place, they have to die. We have to die. The psychological structure which believed in all of this has to be left to die. Because this cannot survive if we are to be restored to our true capacity and to the true memory of who and what we truly are. And we need to be restored to our true capacity. We need to become who and what we truly are if we are to do something for this world. Because the human being which believes itself to be a mere mortal human being living a life here on planet Earth has zero power to help this world in any way. Only the true human being which remembers itself, its origins and its true nature, only that one can do something for this world. But in order for that one to be birthed, in order for that one to wake up, the false one has to die. completely. One cannot serve two masters at the same time. We need to get back to our true sense of self and allow that sense of self, the true one, to guide us and to guide our life here in this experience called life on earth. So, who is ready? Who has always been ready and knew it always in its blood, in its bones and in its veins? This mission, let's call it, this truth, this love. Who is ready? Who has always been ready? Who already knows how to die consciously and allow this truth to both kill us and birth us at the same time? Who is ready? Who has always been ready? Because we need to pass through this death together, the ones that we are ready, and we have been always ready. And I believe this is the time. We have to start taking things, life and death, seriously, because this is how they actually are. And we have to learn to die. Nobody can teach us. We have to do it ourselves. And this is far from meaning go and throw yourself off of a cliff. Suicide is not, it's anything but the death that I'm speaking about. Suicide is actually most probably nothing even close to the death that I'm speaking about. One could commit suicide and still be dead, paradoxically. To truly die, one can only do it itself, consciously. We can only die by conscious choice. We can only die consciously, through an act of will. And that death is at the same time a birth, because it's like waking up from amnesia. So who is ready? Who has always been ready? Because this world needs us. This world screams in pain right now. And she is giving birth, and she needs us to be here by her side. It's time. It's time to meet ourselves, one another here. It's time we regain our true sense of self, our true memory of who and what we truly are. It's time for the sleeper to awake. Because everything is here, and everything, almost the eyes of the entire existence, are all looking at this moment right now, looking at us, the ones that we are ready. So, this is the moment. Let's meet each other in reality.